With a Spider-Man No Way Home spoiler-free review, all right? So, if you guys are looking for just a whole ass, down in the ground, no punches pulled review, that's going to be after this little 10 to like 20-minute section, all right? So, this is going to be its own video. If you guys want the spoiler review, that's going to be coming up after this video. So, this is spoiler-free, big and red, sign, whatever, above the screen. Spoiler free, all right? So, for this channel, I have a goal. It's a giant goal. 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2022. I ain't ever going to make it, but hey, it's a big goal. We're going to get it. So, go ahead and give me that good old HBO special. Help a brother out. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into the Spider-Man No Way Home review. So, as we are going to try and stay in line and keep this as spoiler free as possible, all right? Spoiler free as possible. So let's talk about, the very beginning, which I'm pretty sure everybody saw in the trailers. Everybody should know, so this should not be a spoiler of any sort. So as this movie starts, we start in the very beginning at the end of the last movie, Far From Home, where Mysterio reveals the identity of Peter Parker as Spider-Man. And freaking J. Jonah Jameson saying, "That's the menace! Spider-Man!" That type of thing. And it then goes on to pretty much show how the real world would react to, Spider-Man, how the real world would act with if someone found out somebody was someone kind of like reflecting real life. Like, if somebody you knew was Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure all the news stations, all the police, everybody everywhere would come over to your house and probably do some things, right? You guys agree with that? How this movie kind of portrayed people in real life?
Well, personally, I agree with what you said. If it's basically like if you found out your neighbor is a celebrity, and they're trying to like Hannah Montana. It's a weird example, but leading a double life, and then you find out your neighbor is actually a multimillionaire, high class celebrity, and then it gets out, your word gets out to everybody in your community. Everybody's going to be hounding you, like obviously, like what you said. You're not going to get the end of it. Everybody's going to be at your house begging to ask you questions or make connections with that person.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if you had Dwayne the Rock Johnson as your freaking neighbor, right? You would probably be kind of crazy, and he'd probably be tired of you, visiting his house. Don't you think, Tyler?
I mean, yeah.
So now this movie, after the whole, getting revealed as Spider-Man, I will say that Spider-Man is a character whose main theme of his kind of, himself is pretty much sacrifice. And as everybody knows, Spider-Man has a problem with leading a double life, like my buddy Connor said. He's living a double life as being Spider-Man and then being Peter Parker, just like how Batman and Bruce Wayne have a double life. And so this kind of whole theme is throughout the story is sacrifice. And also this another theme throughout the story is, hey, this boy, Peter Parker, will be growing into a man by the end of the story. And I think they did that really well. Don't you guys agree? How they kind of, he was a naive little kid in the very beginning, and then he grew up to be a man towards the end. Without any spoilers, of course.
He definitely grew over the course of all three of the movies. I will admit, the way I see it is in the first film, he's just coming to terms with his own powers as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and then at around the second movie, with all the stuff that encompasses becoming an Avenger and going international, he's getting the roles forced on him by society, because obviously his connection with Tony Stark makes him sort of kind of a next in line, I guess you would say.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that this Spider-Man is Iron Boy, or Iron Man 2.0,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, that was actually kind of one of the major plot points of the second movie. Um, but by the end of the second movie and going into the third, this latest one, I think at this point he's come to terms with who he is as a person. There is a quote in the second movie that Happy Hogan says that basically states that he doesn't have to be Tony Stark to be a good hero. He doesn't need to fill that role, and I think this period between the end of the second movie and through basically um, the whole of this new movie sort of kind of completes that arc with him finding out who he really is as a person and as a hero instead of sort of kind of being a walking on other people's shadows. He sort of kind of
Yeah, he needs
pushes
to become
himself
his
out there.
own person, his own
Yeah.
character. Yeah. So,
So that's
so another thing that came up while I was writing my entire list, I think this movie is pretty dark, right? Would you guys agree this movie was actually kind of dark after all those, little cheeky jokes and all that stuff? Do you guys think this movie was pretty dark?
like dark as in like
Like what happened like towards the
It's
end from the
pretty.
beginning?
Yeah, the ending's pretty dark, and I guess how they have to solve the problem. But I don't. I mean, for it's kind of there's a lot of redemption and stuff though. So I mean
Yeah,
that
without getting
it
into
gets.
too much
I'd say it
spoilers,
gets
right?
dark at the
yeah.
end,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say the whole movie's like that.
Yeah. I would
I'd
say there
say
was a little
yeah.
bit too much jokes for how dark the movie kind of got. Like the jokes were sometimes good and then sometimes in the wrong place. That's what I would say.
Yes, I agree with that. It it's kind of a blend of both. It's sort of kind of like what I said. It's Spider-Man becoming his own person, and at this point in time, against like all the other Spider-Men in past films and shows and stuff like that, this Tom Holland Spider-Man really hasn't had very many of the same experiences as these other ones. Dealing with loss or dealing with um, you
Yeah,
know,
he's like still fairly naive in the very beginning
yeah,
and
he's very
all the
naive.
past movies. He's still pretty naive.
Yeah.
Now, if
So,
now I will talk about this point in the second video where we go on spoilers and how it relates to comics because I'm a very comic person. Um, I grew up with the comics absolutely. I literally had a bunch of the old issued Spider-Man comics all the way till like 2005, and then I gave it to my mom so that her kindergarten kids could read them, and then they stole them, so I never got them back. But I grew up with a lot of Spider-Man, so I'll talk about this point in the second video. But yeah, keep on going, Connor.
well, if we're gonna keep going on about like the whole like thematics of the movie, I agree with you that there is quite a bit of joking going on, and this isn't a spoiler. Obviously, you've seen it in the trailer by this point. Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin and Alfred Molina as Doctor Octopus. Great characters.
Oh yeah,
Great characters portrayed by wonderful actors.
yeah.
Top
You
of the
you
class.
you got to the point that I was about to lead up to perfectly. So of course there was a lot of nostalgia baiting in this movie. Of course,
Hmm.
would you say it's nostalgia baiting? I would say so because of course they brought
Yeah.
back beloved actors, actors who portrayed characters that were absolutely awesome. Everybody sees, of course, Andrew Garfield's Lizard, Electro, right? The Sam Raimi series, Sandman, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, right? Everybody knows that those five are in the movie, of course.
Yeah.
That's why I think the movie's so good. If they didn't do all that, I don't think it'd be as good as it is.
The banter between the villains throughout the movie is just perfect. It's great. The
Yeah,
jokes, they sometimes the jokes don't fit in, but it works. It works very well between
because
all of them.
because like, of course, we know that these characters are from different universes, but of course, without getting into spoilers, things happen, and they all kind of like, they're like, oh, you're here, and it was very interesting. I do think that they kind of did expand upon the character and the personalities of the villains, of course. They did do things throughout the movie to kind of bring up some of the villains, like, of course, Green Goblin and Doc Ock. They did do, like, kind of they do a bit more character development for those characters. But, of course, towards the end, it got very convenient, right? If that's the correct word to use. It got very convenient towards the end, like how somehow all the villains got a miraculous cure, that's never been solved before. Like throughout all the comics, throughout all the movies, some way, somehow, towards the end of the movie, all the villains, pretty much miraculously found a way to become healed in some way.
I do feel like that is kind of I don't know if it's necessarily a plot hole, but I feel like it is convenient. It's just like snap of the fingers, instantly everything is just fine. Well, not just fine. They come up with a solution in 2 seconds. There's no, 15-20 minute block of them having to fight and research how to come up with these solutions. It's just everybody gets together, and then with like a snap of the fingers, everything is ready to go.
Like, I'll give you like 3 examples. It's like, what if in Infinity War, Thor cut freaking Thanos' head off after snapping everybody into dust, right? Or if somebody miraculously found the lost city of Atlantis, the lost city of gold, or even solved the equation for antimatter and automatically knew, like, this works and all that, right? And it's like, that's pretty convenient.
Honestly, the way I would see it would be like if Thanos already had all the stones at the beginning of Infinity War, because then you would sort of it feels like they're skipping so much of a potential, like they could have increased, like, I don't know if it's just for the thematic cut or if there's like a director's variation of the movie where there's more time devoted to.
You're thinking they could have done more with with how they figured out how to fight the villains.
Yes, because it's like Thanos had all the stones. You skip straight to the Wakanda and the Titan fight. That's it. It's like, boom, instantly there at the final fight.
Honestly,
there's no build up.
Honestly, if anybody from Marvel is watching this movie like later on, or if this video ever gets popular enough, this would be a great TV show. Kind of like how Peter finds out how to fight his villains and how to like cure them. Like that would be an interesting kind of TV show. You guys think so?
I feel like that would be true. I mean, Tom Holland's Spider-Man has so much potential that it sort of kind of feels ashamed. It feels shameful for it to only be dealt with in this way, with the whole Disney and Sony fiasco. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, if we're talking cinematic movies, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man did a very good job of portraying Spider-Man the superhero.
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't really get that Peter Parker thing right. It felt a little cringy. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was the opposite.
He portrayed really like Peter Parker correctly, but he didn't portray Spider-Man correctly.
You could really, when he was Peter Parker, you could really feel his emotions. Like, everything made sense. You could feel what he felt.
Yeah.
And then I think Tom Holland, right as of this moment, is a perfect blend of both.
Yeah. Like, if we get over the whole Iron Boy thing towards the end of this movie, Tom Holland is pretty much, like, right there. He's pretty perfect, right? But, like, again, you kind of got to a plot point or a little note that I wanted to talk about as well. Like, this movie was pretty good, but the Sam Raimi movies were just so amazing, so good as a kid when we were growing up that, like, No Way Home is a really good movie. Like, I would probably put it behind Sam Raimi's 1 and 2 movie, right? Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. I would put No Way Home like just right after that. And then I would put Andrew Garfield probably right after that one as well.
I feel like I kind of agree with you on that, but honestly, I think all three of the MCU movies should definitely be further up than the Amazing Spider-Verse movies because I just feel like those two movies were sort of kind of lackluster just in terms of like content, I guess, because you got two movies and then it just dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah,
Sort of kind of
I will say that they did choose villains that not a lot of people either knew about or cared about, right? Everybody cared about, and I know we're getting off topic talking about the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but um, everybody really loves Green Goblin. Everybody really loves Doc Ock. Everybody really loves Venom, right? But then when you get to like Electro, when you get to Rhino, when you get to Lizard, you know, just to name a few Spider-Man villains, and like of course the newest movie that's about to come out, Morbius. When you get to those villains, I would say Morbius was pretty popular because vampires and whatnot. Um, Not a lot of people really care about those villains, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think they chose the Amazing Spider-Verse villains. I guess they were just pulling from the bag of what they hadn't done yet with the Sam Raimi movies, so I guess I can give it a pass on that. But the Rhino was literally just a angry dude in a mech suit, not even remotely close to like the similarities between like him and Juggernaut from the
Yeah,
X Men.
in
Like
the comics,
he was in a mech
Rhino is a
suit.
little
I mean,
juggernaut.
sure, it's cool that he's in a mech suit, but like, come on now.
Yeah,
But but I think I think Jamie Foxx's Electro isn't honestly that bad. I think he does a great job, but that really speaks more to Jamie Foxx's acting prowess than anything else.
yeah. I'll
I'll
talk
give it
about
that
more
much.
about Jamie Foxx when we go to our spoiler review. But yeah, so I'm going to end it here before we start going into spoilers because I noticed that we're going to start getting spoilers because you know we kind of talked about uh, we talked very lightly already, and now we're getting to the deeper stuff. So we're going to save this point for the next video, which is going to be the spoiler video. This is going to be a non-spoiler video. So if you guys skip to the end, and you're just looking for numbers, you know, I would say I give this movie a 89.4% out of 100 for the movie. I think this movie is absolutely amazing. I think it's really good. It's right under the two first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies because you know we ain't going to talk about Spider-Man 3. But what do you guys think? What do you guys rate this movie?
I'd rate this movie about a 9 out of 10. Honestly, this is probably one of the best Spider-Man. No, this is probably one of the best Marvel movies uh, in recent history.
I
Other
I
than maybe
I
obviously
I
like
do
Infinity
agree.
War.
I think this is the best Marvel movie that came out this year. Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel like they pandered to the audience a little bit with a bit of fan service, but
I think that's
honestly, I don't see
amazing.
what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anything wrong. I mean, if they made the whole movie fan service, that might be an issue, but
Like I do think you
I
should
think
be
it was
making
well.
movies for the fans, right? Cuz the fans are
Yeah,
the ones
that's what it's
coming to
always
watch your
for
movie.
anyway.
Yeah. What about you, Tyler? Give your rating, bro.
I'd probably give it an 8, but in my opinion, really the only movies I've seen that were at like a 9 or 10 would be Infinity War and Endgame. So that's kind of to give you some context, kind of hard grading, I guess, movies.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, but that's probably because, I grew up watching it in the theater, so I'm probably biased towards it like that. It's definitely good. It's worth to go see it. It's worth to go, spend the money, I guess, to see it in theaters and stuff. It's a lot of fan service. I think you have to watch the previous movies, the previous Spider-Man movies to really like it, because if you don't have, I guess, the
It's a lot of
context and the
nostalgia, yeah.
callbacks, then you're kind of gonna be not knowing what's going on. I think it still would be a good experience, just not as good as if you've seen the other ones.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give it a solid 8.
All right, so you guys heard it for yourselves. If you guys skip to the end just for the rating, of course, hey, go watch the movie. It's really freaking good. All right, you gotta have a good prior knowledge, maybe, of the last movies, of course. But even if you don't, it's still an amazing movie. All right, when we were in the theaters, there was literal people clapping at certain moments in the theaters. People were clapping, people were cheering. All right, that's just how good it was. And if you guys want to watch it in theaters, make sure you watch at the biggest screen, at the biggest auditorium, whatever possible. All right, you want that full experience. All right, so that's it for this video. See you guys in the spoiler video, and I'm gonna end it here. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below, of course, what's your thoughts if you guys haven't seen it, of course. If you guys have seen it, don't even comment in this video. Comment in the freaking spoiler video. So we'll see you guys there. Peace out.